Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today we take a look at how I decided to paint my Blood Bowl Tomb Kings. You can see my assembly choices in this video linked above as well as down in the description. I started the whole process with Vallejo's Surface Primer in pure white. I really like this primer. It's self-leveling and it does well with standard acrylics as well as speed paints. And that's my plan, to use speed paints for as much as possible, basically everything but the metallics. And I chose the white primer undercoat because I want the colors to be bright and poppy. I like to start miniatures from the inside out, usually with the skin, but with these Tomb Kings, I'll have to start with the bones. And what better color than pallid bone for those skeletons? For the Guardians, I decided to use a malignant green for their skin tone. I like the effect the greenish, sickly color gives for rotting flesh, and that's kind of how I see mummies. I know GW's studio team used a gray color or even a grayish purplish color, but I think that's more vampire. So if I get to a vampire Blood Bowl team, there you go. While the bones and the skin dried, I came back and painted the stripes on all the shorts. And that starts with Battleship Gray, which leaves a light bluish gray color. I felt that if I left them just plain white, it would be too bright. So I muted it down with this Battleship Gray and went with that light blue stripe. Next, I tackled the main body of those Guardians and their mummy wrappings. For this, I turned to Bony Matter, which is a light beigey brown color. Over the pure white, it really defines the bandage wrap edges and also makes them look old and grungy all at the same time. It's a big impact with just a single color. And while that dried, it was time to go back and finish those shorts. I went in with a dark blue color, Cloudburst Blue. Since it's one of the originals, I was careful to paint it up to the stripe but not over it. Once dried, it gave a nice highlighted dark blue color to the shorts and really made that lighter blue stripe pop and feel just right. Now let's move on to the bits that are leather. Using hardened leather, I painted the talbards, the sandals, and the belts, and anything else that should be leatherish. Again, this one you need to be careful with because it is an original speed paint and it may reactivate. The throwers have a football in hand, so I tackled that task now. The base is Goddess Glow, a pinkish purplish color. And once this was dry, an overall wash with a mid-brown was used. This darkened the colors and still left that purplish color that you see in today's NFL footballs. Later, I'll come back and pick out the white laces with an off-white. With most of the body and cloth painted, it's time to turn to the team's main colors. First up is the main color for the team, Caribbean Ocean. I love this turquoise blue shaded paint. I wanted this to be the predominant color, so I made sure to start the color on the alternating plates such that there would be more blue plates than the alternate color. The large plate on the skeleton lineman was painted blue as well. The Guardians, the Blitzers, and the Throwers don't have alternating plates, so their entire upper army was painted in this blue paint. And this is a 2.0, so I don't have to worry about reactivation, as well as the contrasting color, which I chose as Carmine Dragon. It's a bright red color. And anywhere that I had an alternating blue, I used this red color. That included the upper body armor plates, any bangles around the tops of boots, any wings on their feet, bangles, any kind of things like that that had this, or even some of the headdresses had alternating colors. While all that dried, these Tomb Kings each have a scarab beetle someplace on them. So each of those got a coat of occultist cloak to emulate the bug's blue-black exoskeleton. Finally, it was time to paint the armor, which I painted using Army Painter's Greedy Gold. It's a gold, more on the warmish/red side of the gold spectrum. I don't use it very often, but every time I do, I forget how much I like the shade once it's dry. I've also pulled some Army Painter Shining Silver into the mix, mostly for bracelets and other metal bits that are not part of the armor, kind of give it a little bit of a contrast. After an overnight dry and a layer of protective varnish, it was time to set the bases. Using Vallejo's texture paste I pushed small amounts around into each of the bases. Now, this stuff does take a couple hours to dry, so I was able to run some mid-brown wash and highlight with pale sand all in the same day. Off camera, I painted the rims in Vallejo's tan earth and set them aside to dry. Before bed, a quick spray of gloss varnish was applied to the rims and any place I was planning on putting decals later. So I ended up putting white lettering on the front of the rims, like the parts that would be facing my opponent, and black on the backside. The big shoulder pads on the Tomb Guardians were just calling out for decals, so they got some decals. And once all the decals were set, they got sealed under a matte varnish. This matte varnish will tone down some of the brightness of the model a little bit, but it also prevents any damage from paint chipping, and it seals the decals such that they look like they're painted on and not a decal laying on top. I also came back and put in some tufts of gaming grass. Kind of looks like some of the scrub you might see in a desert. And there you have it, a quick and easy way to paint up the new Tomb King figures for this third season of Blood Bowl. All in all, it took me better part of a week, painting an hour or so every day, and then one long painting session and decaling session over the weekend. So, yeah, pretty easy with speed paints. Keep an eye out for my next video in this series where we paint up some of the new Bretonnian figures as well. And until then, happy gaming.